Thanks for joining us today. This is a ATG webinar, and the topic of choice for today is back to basics feature lines. I've had a lot of questions lately, not as far as complex feature lines and how to get them tie into different things, but just what's feature lines and how they work, and just a basic aspect of just creating them and how to edit them and how to change the elevations. So that is kind of the topic today. My name is Jeff Haney. I'm a senior civil technical specialist here. And if you guys have questions after the class, of course, in this particular part, just send me an email, jhaney@atgusa.com. Be more than glad to answer whatever questions that you might have. So, like I said, today's topic is pretty simple on this one, but maybe a lot of new people trying to get in, or people who don't know Civil 3D yet, and they're trying to just figure out what feature lines are. So we're going to talk about how to create them and how to edit them, and kind of go over the edit geometry commands and edit elevation commands. Some learning objectives for today is just create a feature line. How to create a feature line as a feature line from the get-go, maybe create it as an object from a polyline. How to edit a feature line using some of the edit geometry commands such as join, trim, or add or remove PI points. And how do we change those elevations? So we'll use the edit elevations command, the elevation editor, quick elevation edits, things like that. We'll talk briefly about a CTC tool feature lines to an alignment. Most people know that you can't use the out-of-box option and create an alignment from a feature line. With our CTC tools, we can do that, and I'll show that off in that process. So when you get into a drawing and you start working with your stuff, you need to see if you have surfaces to pull from. In this case, we do. But one of the things we can do is also put it in sites. But before we get to any of that stuff, we just need to talk about feature lines. What is a feature line? Feature line is here to help your designers, your CAD technicians, to help design your file correctly. You can use grading groups, you can use feature lines to help assist in making that proposed surface type look. And a lot of times these feature lines are going to be used if you are doing a subdivision, maybe they'll be for your lot lines. You might use it for a pond. You might use it just for like swells going across and assign it to them, assign elevations to it. And you can also just use it as intermediate break lines and stuff. And you can also use it in more complex ways with corridors and things like that. A feature line. So if you go to the ribbon, your home tab, and create design panel, there's this feature right here called feature line. And notice we have a couple options. We have our create feature line, and that's just right from the get-go. Let's create it, and you just start talking about it. Then you go create feature line from object. So maybe you have a polyline, kind of sketch it out how you want it, and you're going to create a feature line from that object. And then create a feature line from an alignment, create feature line from a corridor, and we can also use it as a step offset. Think of this as you're offsetting a polyline or offsetting a line. It's the same thing, but you're doing it for a feature line. So we go back up here to create a feature line. And right from the get-go, starts asking you about sites and stuff. We're not really going to dive down deep in sites too much, but we are going to put this one as none for now, and we'll talk about the ones here in subdivision here later. But a site, it's where you can compile your feature lines and other grading groups to a specific topographic area that is all interchangeable together. So that is how sites work. It's not actual piece of land like you would think, okay, this is section 1 over here. It's not really necessary what we're talking about. Sites is separate from that. So let's go into this feature line. Let's say none here. Name. This styles represents what kind of priority it might be. We'll talk about priorities later, and let's just hit OK. So when you start drawing a feature line for the first time, you just click on it like you would a point, but instead of like a polyline, it's going to ask you, do you want to assign this to a surface or type in an elevation? You can type it in as well. Right now, we're just going to keep it at 0 for this point. I'm going to click on the second location, and it's going to give me the same kind of questions. Do we want to assign an elevation? Do we want to say difference? Do we want to type it in? So here you have more options at your command line. And I would always recommend, if you're doing a command, always pay attention to the command line. Sometimes there's additional information that we need to read as we go through this. In this case, let's hit surface now. It says select a different surface. It's telling us what we want to use. And I'm just going to hit yes here, and I'm just going to specify this subdivision EG. So basically, I'm assigning the existing grade at that location. So giving you another aspect of what we're going to do. And here, notice it gives me the elevation of that location. So now I'm going to continue. Now I'm going to specify another point. And here, just as before, I can say from a surface if I wanted to, or grade, slope, difference, transition, all that's fine. This time I'm just going to type in an elevation. So now I got 3 points in here. If I click on the elevation, the feature line, where the grips are, there's where my elevations are. The first one here, we just put that in there and we put it at 0. This one we assigned the existing subdivision surface with this one, and this one down here we just typed in the elevation. So multiple ways to go to assign elevation. And if you click on an feature line, notice our ribbon, which is contextual, kind of narrows down your options. So now we have this here broken out for us, and it tells us everything we can do for a feature line. A lot of people's question is, how do I edit geometry? First thing I do is click on here. Notice this command turns blue, and I get additional information. Same thing with elevation editor. If I need to change elevations, I hit the edit elevations command. This is now blue, and I get additional information for that. Some people just come in here and they just leave them both on. That's awesome. As long as you don't get overwhelmed by that, that's great. I use this way most often. I know another person who they get overwhelmed with it. They don't like seeing it, so they will flip between this as they need to. And that's just a comfort thing. So for edit geometry, we can come in here and we can say insert PI, delete a PI, And we can do things such as break, trim, join, reverse, smooth fit curve, fillet, edit curve, weed, and create feature line from step offset. Most of these, you're like thinking, hey, that's the same kind of stuff I have with my polyline or with a line. That's true, but you cannot use the normal AutoCAD commands for a feature line. And as a side note, you can't use the same AutoCAD commands for, say, survey figure prefix lines. Those are three different things technically. And you have to use their own commands to do it. So in this particular case, let's just hit insert PI. And notice it's given me a triangle and my hypothetical line, 2 lines of where I can move this to. So if I put a point here, it inserted this point here. And now I have another geometry point. So if I needed to extend something, I would just drag my 2 endpoints down and then insert a PI point where that's needed. I would not try to insert a PI, before or after the actual one. It just doesn't take that well. Delete PI is just what you think. If I have a PI point here that I want to get rid of, I just hover over it, see where the triangle is. That's how I know what spot I'm at. So wherever this highlighted triangle is, that's what point I'm going to be removing or working with. So let's just remove this one. It takes that PI out, and now it snaps it back. So another thing you could do is what's called edit elevations. So from here, I can come in here and hit this elevation editor. This panorama box will pop up. And now I'm getting my elevations. Remember, this is the one that I just said to keep at 0. This is the one I said to put in as an existing surface. This is the one I typed in. So if I needed to just type in elevations, I can do that right here by just typing them in. And that's just like using your normal key commands. Just go in here and type it in. I can also use grades in. So if I wanted to keep this and go at 2%, notice I get 2 here and -2 there. So maybe I'm trying to keep certain things at ADA, or maybe a certain grade for my swells and stuff. I can just type those percents in if I know my given points. Another thing you can do with elevations editor and stuff is just go through these commands, right? And let's pull this box out a little bit more. And wherever I'm at, let's say I click on this down here, notice my triangle comes down here. So I could tell where I'm at. Lots of questions by, I just don't know where I'm at. If you click on this, that will show me where I'm going to be editing my stuff. So let's kind of go through here a little bit. So this is your select a feature line or lot line. So I can click in here and it says select object or name. So I can select it, and that's the one I am edited on. Or maybe I need a different one. It realigns it back to here, and it updates my elevation editor with the area that I'm going to be working on. So let's go back to this one. This is zoom to. This enables you to zoom to a highlighted vertex. Maybe I need a quick profile along a feature line. I can click on this, and it's kind of like my normal surface profiles. Let's just randomly pick those. Okay, it's putting information in for my profile so I know how it looks. Going back into our elevation editor, this is how we can raise or lower all the feature line vertices by an elevation entered in. Here is how we can do increment raises. So maybe I want to take this feature line and go up 5 feet or down 5 feet. This is how I can go up, down, and then this is the increment part. If I hit this here, put in, say I want to go up 5, just put 5, and hit this button. Notice my elevations changed, so this entire line has went up 5 feet. Over here is your flatten grade or elevations. So this enables you to flatten our vertices to a specific grade or a single elevation. So if you hit flat, you can say consistent elevation and consistent grade. Put that there. Now it's all 804. This here, people kind of get confused sometimes. They're thinking it's the same as our insert PI, and it's almost the same thing, but it's the insert elevation point. This is adding an elevation control to the feature line. So it's putting me another Z value in, but without the XY. So for instance, I click on here, and maybe I want to add another one in. Notice it pops it in, and it gives me that extra point, which is right here. And now I'm moving it down and adjusting it. The XY comes into play if I go back into my edit geometry and hit insert PI. So this is actually putting XY Z on it, where this is just putting a Z value. And I can take it out by hitting here and going back in. And now it's gone. So add, remove PIs, points elevation, not X, Y, Z. Here is how I can assign my values to a surface. Say you have an existing surface you want to use, or maybe a certain sub surface you want to use. You can click on here, you can add it, and now these elevations change for that particular surface. Here we can reverse directions. Some people like them to be seen a certain way, so you can hit reverse backwards and forwards. And that comes into play a lot with swells. We hit this to show grade breaks only. It only displays the rows for vertices that is a change to the grade. Right now, all of them are changed to the grade. But if you had a whole list of like 30, you would see only where the grade breaks actually changed. Then you have this select all, unselect features. So this clears any selected vertices with no rows selected, and this raise or lowers the commands applied to it. So that is this one here. And then relative to a surface, you can always specify if you want this to always be integrated with a certain surface or linked to another surface. So that is some of your elevation editor commands. Another way that you can create a feature line is by drawing polylines. And maybe let's toss in the arc here. Back through, got more arcs going on. And put our line back up, something like that. So now we have a polyline that contains 2 line segments and 2 arcs. So if you wanted to draw in a certain, I don't know, curve or something, and you just go ahead and put it in by a polyline. Some people like to just go ahead and work with that feature with a polyline to get how they want it for a line segment or circle or arc, whatever the case may be. Then they'll convert it to a feature line after the fact. So you go here at feature line, create feature line from object, and you just select it. Now it's asking for a name. I always recommend giving a good name and sites and stuff. Here I'm just going to accept these values for now, but notice now it is a featured line. And that now it's the same as it was a while ago when I was created it from feature line, create feature line. Go ahead and delete those. Now let's say we have a feature line that we are working on. And you wanted to start just drawing things in. So you got this here, and I believe this is also a question too. So easiest way to create a feature line around a curve. So one, I would do it by either a polyline, because I feel more comfortable with a polyline. So I create a polyline with my line segments and circles, and then I convert it to a feature line after the fact. But you can also come in here and specify your line segments here. And there's also an arc option, and it gives you radius, second point, or line. So it's kind of like a polyline in this case. And notice that dot there in the middle. That's kind of telling me where my radius is. So if I know a radius, I can just click on it. I can say 25. And I can start putting it how I think it should be. Kind of go through and make that go back to a line, just like we did with the feature line, with the polyline a while ago. And then just make sure you hit your commands for elevations. Yeah, you might have to insert random elevation points. But I think if you get your feature line down with this using the arcs and radius command, I think you'll probably get it while being in the command. Marshall, does that help answer that question? And then with this, notice that is here, and there is a radius. Maybe I need to change that radius for whatever reason. Again, you can't use fillet and say a normal AutoCAD fillet command. I can't go from here to here and change it. I have to use the geometry editor part and come up here to where it says fillet. I can hit radius here, and this says 10. Maybe I want it 50. Whoops, not 520. That'd be really weird. Let's go back to here. Let's hit fillet. Radius, let's do 50. And notice it's putting me that line in. Now I'm kind of seeing, is this the radius I want, or do I want to change it to something else? So if I need to change it, put radius, maybe 35. Now I'm seeing that connection. Click it, accept it, and now it draws in that new radius for me. As we go through some more of the what feature lines are capable of. One of the things it does, like I said, it helps with your grading, right? You help change the gradings. Here in this particular case, I've went ahead and created my feature lines for my lot lines, and I got it broken down in a couple of different ways. I am using a site in this particular case, and it's called subdivision for this one. And just so that you see it breaking out a little bit, I have different styles. These are child, parent, existing, and child is what's used here. And this is going to be the order of operation of hierarchy. So if feature line if you assign feature lines with certain hierarchies, and you can go in here to feature line, the properties, and hit options. This is my order. Anything that is existing has priority over the parent style. Anything that is on the parent style has priority over child, and so on. So if I change something on the parent and I'm using this hierarchy information, and I change the parent, say from 750 to 800 elevation, that's child feature line at that point is going to update. So those are dynamically linked together. So I don't have to change them in both locations. Or it also reduces the part of if I don't have this hierarchy set up, whatever my last, say my feature line was, I changed line A will dictate line B. Line B will dictate line A, depending on which one was the last one I changed. So using this style set up for hierarchy will help me keep things linked and without interfering with each other. So I have my parent style set up here, my existing, and my lot lines. And it's kind of what you would think here, how I have this set up. I have this boundary, this feature line right here is representing my boundary on the outside, but it's right here as existing. This here, the right of way, is a parent style. So these elevations are going to dictate my lot line points, because my lot lines are set up as a child style. So these here that I'm going to select is parent. These back of lots that I'm going to select is also a parent. So if I change anything here or here, these elevations are going to change. And let's take a look at what I mean by that. If I click on this here, let's go over here. If I click on this, go over here to my elevation editor, and let's just pick. So actually, that's a good guess on that one. If I hit this is this point here. So notice it says 5519. This says 866. If I go over and I select this guy for my lot line, this is a child, right? So these are grayed out by default, because if I change something here on this back of lot, which is a parent, it's going to update. So 866, that's this one right here. This one up here on this one, that is on my right of way. So if I change this point on my right of way, or I change this lot back at this point, this elevation for my lot line is going to update. So let's play with that for a minute. Let's go ahead and click on here. And just so you guys see it, I'm going to just put this at 900. This updates. Let's go back over here to my lot line and notice it's 900 here. Again, I can't click in and change it because it is a child and it's linked to this one. Let's go back over here. And just to answer a question here about this, yes, you don't have to go in and out. I know a lot of people do because they feel more comfortable with just selecting on a line, right click, elevation editor, or come up here to elevation editor. That does that exact same thing. but they feel more comfortable with this. But if you can click on this guy, you don't have to get out of this box. You can click on it and it'll take you to where you want. How you know where you want, it puts these triangles on. So you know that you're editing the one that you want to edit. So I am just going to put this back here to 866. And this did change, in fact, so 866. All right. Now, how do I break this up to help put this in my sites and stuff? So when I go in create a feature line or feature line from object, it's going to ask me which site do I want to put it in. And I can assign it to which one it is right here. And then I'll put which style. So subdivision or site ABC, whatever. Give it a new name, give it a good name. That's where some of this stuff comes into play. Some people will have what they are, what controls what. So as long as you know, that's the main thing. Style, this is what the priority, the hierarchy comes into play. So if I want it to be a parent, I click on this one. If I want it to be a child, I click on that one. So that's that parent-child relationship and hierarchy. This is set up. I already got these in here, so my sites are working for that. Now, how do I get these feature lines to a surface? If I go ahead and expand my surfaces here, and I go to surface properties, notice I just have a placeholder here for it. There's actually nothing in here yet. But I'm going to keep the same thing as far as how my sites are as I create this, because it's given me a chance to know what is what in case I have to delete something or redo something because of corruption. So maybe right now I want to grab all my lot backs, or I can even start from the lot lines. It doesn't matter the order on this as far as how it gets into the surface. This hierarchy only matters when it's coming to a site and how the feature lines work together. So I can come in here and grab this, which is all childs, do select similar. And I like to use this isolation object part. This isolates all my lot lines. And I'm going to add these as break lines, which I could have done back there. So how do I add it? I can click on this, right click, hit add the surface as a break line, and I can do them all at one time. Or some people like to do it as a break line here, hit add, and now I'm grabbing them all again and putting it in. Whichever method that you like, I just wanted to show you both ways so you get used to it. So here I'm going to select them all, add surface as a break line. I'm going to click on my subdivision finished ground. Description, I'm going to kind of keep this the same method I've been doing. So I'm going to put lot lines. Some people will put child dash lot line, whatever the case may be. Lot line to me represents what it is, so I'm good with that. Standard as we're used to seeing. Then I'm just going to hit OK. If I expand this, I see this in my history already. In my object isolation, you can start seeing my surface is starting to come into play because I have elevations and all that. So let's go ahead and click on the right-of-ways. We'll just do select similar. I can see which one of these they grabbed here. And I'm just going to add a surface as a break line. Yes, I finished ground one. And right away, this is from existing. And this is just giving me more information so I know what I need to fix or how I need to reorganize it. I know these didn't get put in just a minute ago, so I'm just going to select these. There's only 2 of them. That says new. So I'm going to give this a description of right away new. And this is how I'm just going to populate this in. So now if I have to come in here and delete these out, replace them, I know which ones I need to do to fix that. Also, I can see I've added these. I have not added the back of lot. So I'll select those. And then I'll say add a surface as a break line here. We'll put lot back. So this is basically helping me organize what I'm working on and what I'm doing. And then I can come in here, click on this, and we'll just do boundary for that. And now I have a good working site based off of my feature lines. I now have a pretty clean surface going on with my break lines. If I go into my surface properties, go to definition, I can see my order of operation, and I can see my statistics now based off of my feature lines. All right, that is awesome. We have something going on. We have a surface being created. Let's go ahead and save. You know how it is with AutoCAD. You want to make sure you save often in case you lose something or something corrupts and crashes out, especially when you do object viewer. And right like that, you get something. So perfect with AutoCAD. As always, if something crashes, hopefully you save and save often, right? But don't get discouraged. You have this other stuff that you could do, but it's okay, right? You know this. So let's go into our drawing. I was going to show the object viewer on how this is. I will X-nay that for now. But one more thing before we go to something else, I want to make sure that you guys see another option here. And that option is step offset. How step offset works is maybe you have a potential pond over here and you already set it up with your feature line. Let me turn some of this stuff off over here so you can see things a little bit better. So I have a feature line already set up. How step offset works is, okay, I have a feature line. I can't offset it because it's not a polyline or a line. I have to use what's called a step off create feature line from step offset. I click on it, and now it's kind of the same as you've seen before with the normal offset command. Specify my distance. Let's just go 9 feet for now. It says select an object. I'll select it, and what side? Let's go on the outside on this one. And right from the get-go, I can assign elevations if I wanted to. Sure, let's go ahead and put elevation. And let's just do 600 for now just to get something in there. Let's go ahead and you can continue with the command if you want, or you can end it and restart it back up. But if you keep continuing, you can just select the next line here. Let's go outside. Let's go 10 feet. And let's do it one more time on this side. Let's do 12 and we'll end it. So now we have stuff that is starting to look kind of like a pond based off of feature lines. You can create a pond with grading groups. You can create a pond with corridors. I'm just letting you see about feature lines right now. So we can go ahead and grab these. And right now, without truly editing them, I'm just going to assign this as a break line. I could go ahead and put it into a site if I wanted to, but that's okay. Notice my elevations are all weird and stuff. Maybe I'll try object viewer here in a little bit, but let's see how it works when you modify a feature line. So let's just click on this feature line here. Let's do elevation editor. I have, this says 856. So let's use 856 as our starting point for this particular one. We can come into this feature line, do elevation editor, and let's put this over to the side so you can see things. We'll just do a Control A, which selects them all. And based off of the other one, when we said 856, let's put that in there, and then let's go up. Let's go increment. Let's do 5, and let's go up. So now it's 861. Let's go ahead and modify the next one. We'll go here. Notice it changes my triangles and put it on this one, so I know I'm editing the one that I selected over here. So let's do another Control A. Let's do 856, and let's have like for this pond, so it went up 5 feet. Let's have like a landing almost for 10 feet. So let's keep it the same as the other one. We'll do increment. We'll go up. So 861 for both of these. Let's click on that last one. Control A to select it. Let's do an increment this time of 10. And let's go up. So I'm using these options to modify my feature line. And because I had rebuild automatic on, it's already rebuilding. So we'll just hit rebuild again. And this is kind of how it looks. So obviously might need to touch base with some more feature lines and add some more break lines to it. But this is kind of how you're getting this to look at. 884. That's 773. Okay. So now you can start manipulating your feature lines, start changing it. It'll update your surface and make it look good. So that is how we can use this information. So let's hit save again. And just for the fun of it, let's see if it crashes out again. Object viewer. And it did. Perfect. So before class, I did object viewer probably like 10 times, and it worked completely fine. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about our CTC tools. One question, how do you draw a closed feature line without it popping up a warning requiring an elevation? Doesn't the command to close the feature line imply you are using the beginning elevation? Tricky question there, because the answer is yes and no. You might have to put a little space in, or connect it and do one of those, not insert PI, but one of those elevation points and put it on to get that to come through the way that you think it should. And I think I had to do that before with the elevation point for the Z value, not the XY. So give that a try next time you're doing it and see if that helps, see if that works. And if not, by all means, send me an email and we will talk about it. That question was from Andy. So thank you, Andy, for the question. So just to let you guys see this here, this is a little demonstration on our CTC tools, Sims Project Suite. And again, there's no really good way for out of the box to create an alignment from a feature line. With this tool here, we can go ahead and create a feature line to an alignment. And then we can go right into the wizard for creating a profile. How that is going to look is something like this. So I start my command, or see my feature line here, and notice it is a feature line over here on the properties box. And what I'm going to do is click on feature to an alignment. I'll select which feature line that I want. And this dialog box will pop up. And basically it's walking me through, okay, you selected the feature line to make an alignment. What do you want? So let's just go ahead and put ATG webinar. What kind of alignment do we want? Like you would for a normal alignment. So let's do center line. You can give it a description. Some people may like to use the 10+00 or the 0, depending on how you're wanting to work with this. Let's just put that in there for the fun of it. Sites, whether you want it to be on a site or not. Proposed style. This is kind of like the same thing you're seeing when you're making an alignment, right? You create an alignment by an object, you create an alignment as alignment and freehanding. This is everything you see. So now I can set my major and minor only. And if I have this select on, it's going to bring up that create profile wizard for me. So new profile, what kind of styles? Let's do a design profile for that one, or existing, and profile labels. Let's just do complete label set. And whether I want to erase my existing or reverse direction. Since it's a feature line, I'm going to leave it as a feature line. Maybe I need to go back in and edit elevations later or something. Let's click on that. So I'm going to hit draw in profile view. My profile wizard dialog box comes right up. And now I am selecting this and walking through this wizard. And let's just take defaults. Create profile view. I'm just going to populate it down here. And this created my alignment for me based off of my feature line. So it's a curb area here. So now you can see it's an alignment. I got my stations across of it. So it's labeled here. And I have my profile down here on the bottom. So it created an alignment for my feature line. And I also tossed in a profile just based off of the wizards for those. So that is the simple, quick version of feature to an alignment. So Andy says, yeah, okay. So Andy, what I was saying with yours is you might go ahead and have that start and that feature line to start and stop at the same spot. But in that elevation editor, you might need to use the elevation point, put that in, not insert PI, but that elevation point, put an elevation on and see if that works. If not, there's some other variables you could do, but we might have to test something or get on a Zoom meeting together and go over it. But yeah, try it out next time using that method. If not, send me an email. I'll be more than glad to work with you on it. So we have talked about how to create a feature line. We have talked about how to edit the geometry of it by using the edit geometry commands. I have talked about how to edit a feature line elevation using the edit elevations command, and with that including the elevation editor, and how to know which PI point you're working with by seeing that triangle. And we did cover the CTC tools feature lines to an alignment. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us here at ATG, and look forward to training with you again at some point. Thank you.